Our daily Bible reading for April 19th. Our reading today comes from Luke chapter 15, beginning in verse 1. Now the tax collectors and sinners were all drawing near to him, and the Pharisees and scribes grumbled, saying, "This man receives sinners and eats with them." So he told them this parable. "What man of you, having 100 sheep, if he has lost one of them, does not leave the 99 in the open country and go after the one that is lost until he finds it? When he has found it, he lays it on his shoulders, rejoicing. And when he comes home, he calls together his friends and his neighbors, saying to them, 'Rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep that was lost.' Just so, I tell you, there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who need no repentance. Or what woman, having 10 silver coins, if she loses one coin, does not light a lamp and sweep the house and seek diligently until she finds it? When she has found it, she calls together her friends and neighbors, saying, 'Rejoice with me, for I have found the coin that I had lost.' Just so, I tell you, there is joy before the angels of God over one sinner who repents." And he said, "There was a man who had 2 sons, and the younger of them said to his father, 'Father, give me the share of property that is coming to me.' And he divided his property between them. And not many days later, the younger son gathered all he had and took a journey into a far country, and there he squandered his property in reckless living. When he had spent everything, a severe famine arose in that country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him into his fields to feed pigs. And he was longing to be fed with the pods that the pigs ate, and no one gave him anything. When he came to himself, he said, 'How many of my father's hired servants have more than enough bread, but I perish here with hunger? I will arise and go to my father, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants.' And he rose and came to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and felt compassion, and ran and embraced him and kissed him. And the son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his servants, 'Bring quickly the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet, and bring the fattened calf and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate. For this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.' And they began to celebrate. Now his older son was in the field. And as he came and drew near to the house, he heard music and dancing. And he called one of the servants and asked what these things meant. And he said to him, 'Your brother has come, and your father has killed the fattened calf, because he has received him back safe and sound.' But he was angry and refused to go in. His father came out and entreated him. But he answered his father, 'Look, these many years I have served you, and I never disobeyed your command. Yet you never gave me a young goat that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fattened calf for him.' And he said to him, 'Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. It was fitting to celebrate and be glad, for this your brother was dead and is alive. He was lost and is found.'" And some thoughts for today. One of a parent's more challenging issues in raising children is that of sibling rivalry. Many solutions appear straightforward on paper, so to speak, yet they are quite difficult when administered. Teaching children to get along with their siblings is one of the first steps to getting along in the world. Of course, there are few guarantees with these struggles. Still, children must be encouraged to get along, for in this lies much of success as life goes on. In the story of the prodigal son, we have the rebellious son and the obedient son who have been raised by the father. The rebellious son takes all his inheritance and strikes out on his own to make a life for himself, doing it his way, as it were. Trouble soon follows when he has squandered all that he has and finds himself at the point of starvation, feeding swine. Upon his return, the father is elated to have him back and rushes out to meet him. No expense is spared in the celebration he gives in honor of this once lost boy who has found his way home. Now comes the friction. The son who has been obedient becomes jealous for all that is lavished on the brother in spite of his riotous lifestyle having lost his personal inheritance. The The response can be summed up perhaps in a small phrase: "Hey, what about me?" So what is the point or purpose of this story? And for that matter, what is the purpose of all three parables in the 15th chapter of Luke? To find this out, we need only start at the beginning of the chapter and read the first 3 verses to see where these are coming from. Now the tax collectors and sinners were coming near him to listen to him. Both the Pharisees and the scribes began to grumble, saying, "This man receives sinners and eats with them." So he told them this parable. Jesus begins with the parable of the lost sheep, then the lost coin, and lastly, the prodigal son. Each parable describes the lengths to which one goes to find that which is lost. Upon finding that which was lost, each one ends with a celebration in which even those not directly benefiting the discovery were invited. The Jews failed to see the purpose of those whom Jesus was calling into the kingdom. They failed to see that the turning of those toward the kingdom should have been cause for celebration. In fact, this should have been their concern all along, for everyone to seek a righteous life. This jealousy was preventing even their own salvation. Question of the day: have you ever seen jealousy over someone who obeyed the gospel? Have you ever rejoiced over someone's salvation? And a thought to meditate on this day: it is a wondrous thing for even one person to turn from a life of selfishness and sin to one that serves the kingdom of heaven. Those are our thoughts for today, April 19th.